We all want to feel peace in our lives. Peace in our choices, our beliefs, our relationships, and our environment. I've learned that this desired contentment is often found through holding on to less. When we pare down what we own, what we consume, and what we value, we're left with what's intentional, a personalized curation of what is important and true and useful to us. I'm Shannon Leyko, and you're listening to Paring Down, a podcast aimed at helping you declutter not only your home, but any area of your life that's overwhelming. Here, we're having interesting and honest conversations about the physical and mental clutter that drowns out what truly matters to each of us. And together, we'll learn how to pare it all down, not for the sake of perfection or becoming rigid, rather so we can move through life with less overwhelm and more joy, wisdom, and peace. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Paring Down. Today's a big day for us. It is the 100th episode of Paring Down. Holy moly, time just flies. It's been almost 2 years since I started this podcast from my closet in Florida. And now here I am from my master bedroom. So, not that much fancier here in Alaska. I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am that this podcast is now such a big piece of my life. I say it often, so it's not like I'm doing anything special here on the 100th episode by saying thank you. I think you guys know how grateful I am that I get to do this as my job. But I did want to take a second here at the beginning to kind of remind you guys of some of the favorite episodes in case you missed them or you want to go back and listen. And I'll have all these in the show notes. Episode 50 of Paring Down was about the guilt and fear of decluttering gifts, of what do we do when someone gave us something that we don't want anymore. Episode 81 was the art of making friends and how that helps us declutter. There's a lot of information in that episode that I think is really important in general in life. Of course, one of your favorite episodes ever was way back on episode 19, decluttering as a couple with my husband, Aaron Leyko, when he came on, and we talked about our very strong differences between our clutter thresholds. He is a stuff guy, and how we've navigated those differences. You guys love that one. It's pretty funny, honestly, I will admit. Episode 77 with Dr. Morgan Cutlip, addressing the mental load of clutter, was really powerful, one that I wish every single couple would listen to. But even if your spouse wouldn't listen to it with you, it's really empowering, really validating, and really enlightening. Another one we love, episode 25, releasing shame when decluttering with ADHD, with the one and only Elena Willits from Kind Organizing. She has such a gentle voice and just shares her firsthand experience living with ADHD and how that affects her decluttering. Of course, episode 94 with Gretchen Rubin. It was originally named Hard-Won Wisdom for Better Homes and Lives, but then I decided I didn't like that title, so it's been renamed. The title is Practical Advice to Live More Intentionally with 7-time New York Times bestselling author Gretchen Rubin. Speaking of bestselling authors, episode 85, Become an Essentialist with 2-time New York Times bestseller Greg McKeown, helping you really figure out what matters in your life, what is essential, and then how we can create an effortless path to doing those things and incorporating those things into our lives. Okay, I'm definitely doing more than 5. I can't help it. Episode 72, Reclaiming the Sacred, Will Money Make Us Happier? With award-winning scholar Jeff Golden. Wow. This one I get feedback on all the time, just constantly getting DMs about how incredible that episode is. He really helps us understand the nuance of whether money makes us happy and stuff can make us happy. It's a fantastic episode. One of my favorites ever to record was episode 48, Decluttering Books as a Book Lover, because books are one of the most controversial decluttering categories. And I loved putting that episode together for anybody who loves their books. Of course, episode 5, way back at the beginning, is all about decluttering sentimental items. It is one of the most ever listened to episodes. It's short and sweet. I think it's like 23 minutes or something. And I share about losing my mom and tips and gentle mindsets to help us declutter those really sentimental items. You guys have gobbled up episode 91, things that feel illegal to declutter but aren't. And I've got to stop sharing. So I'll just finish with episode number 45, Determining Your Priorities with Ashley Pollard, the founder of The Doer's World. I mean, that one was just chock-a-block with incredible advice. So all of those will be in the show notes. And I just bring them up because It's fun to look back at 100 episodes that I'm actually really, really proud of, that I hope you have found to be incredibly helpful on your decluttering journey or just on your journey in life to live with more intention off of autopilot and making those decisions that you'll feel really good about when you get to the end of your life. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for letting me do this work. And thank you for being the kind of people in this world that we need more of, which are out here actively living, actively choosing to do what matters most and to keep only what matters most and not to let the physical possessions of this world become the end all be all, because we all know that that just creates competition and turmoil and depression and discontent and spiritual warfare. It's just a mess when we let our stuff begin to rule us. So I'm so happy you're here. And I, of course, have a great episode for you for this 100th episode. I've been saving it because I wanted the 100th episode to be spectacular. And it is. It is with Amanda Jefferson. She's a tech and productivity coach, a TEDx speaker, and one of the world's first KonMari consultants. That is, she trained directly under Marie Kondo. She's the host of the top-rated Good Enough-ish podcast and has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Real Simple, Harper's Bazaar, Good Day Philadelphia, and more. Known affectionately as the Tech Whisperer, she helps busy people declutter their digital lives and speaks to audiences about how to quiet the noisy shoulds of society. The amount of hacks in this episode is unbelievable. The show notes are something you're going to want to take advantage of. I have all of the things she recommended in the show notes because we got to the nitty gritty. This is not just high level, oh, this would be nice to do. I mean, we're talking specific app names, giving you an exact walkthrough of what buttons to push within the apps. This is the kind of episode that is practical and it will make your life a billion times easier. So without further ado, let's welcome the one and only Amanda Jefferson to the Paring Down podcast. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm so happy to have you here.
I am thrilled to be here.
Yes, and today's topic is so cool to me. It's about letting tech be our free assistant, which I think we all need in our lives. But before we dive in, would you tell everyone a little bit just about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I am a tech and productivity coach, and I help people conquer their digital clutter and reclaim their time using all kinds of really cool, fun tech hacks.
Yeah, and it's so needed. As you know, I did an episode a little while back about technology and figuring out how to make it work for us and decluttering it, because I think everyone is so overwhelmed, and people like you who are pros at it are just wildly needed at the moment. Our technology gets even more cluttered than our homes because it feels like you can just, close the door on it. You don't have to see it. But as you know, it does affect us. And one of the ways that we can use technology to our advantage rather than to overwhelm us is by letting it be our free assistant. Can you share what you mean by that?
Well, I think back to the time that I was in the corporate world, and I would always be resistant to hiring assistants or interns because it was like, oh, I'm going to have to train them. Da, da, da. But then when you do train them, it's like, oh my gosh, they can actually be really helpful. And I think a lot of times with our tech, we treat them like these interns that we've hired that we never trained. Like we open up this beautiful white box. I mean, these are like supercomputers, this thing that I'm holding in my hand. It's like a $2,000 supercomputer. You open it up out of the white box, you turn it on, you just kind of do your best. And then you get mad at it that it doesn't know how to help you or what to do. It's like you put the intern in a little conference room and then you go in and yell at it every once in a while without training it, right? So I think we forget that these things are supercomputers and they have so much capability. And, so many of the people that I work with, for example, are like solopreneurs or executive women, and we need assistants. So, and we have them, we just have to train them.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of this. So I'm queen of, I don't want to be overwhelmed. Technology feels like just a lot of learning and training, like you said. And sometimes I just feel like, it's too much. My husband got me an Apple Watch for Christmas 2 Christmases ago, and I've never put it on. I wanted to return it. It was past the return date. It's like this whole funny story, but I'm very intimidated by it. And so I'm really hopeful that today our conversation can help people like me who are very intimidated by tech. Like we know that there are ways for it to help our lives, but the concept of like where to start and how to use it just feels like such a big lift. But before we get into the nitty gritty of where to start and what you suggest we do and all of that, can we touch more on how you balance, either personally or suggest that we balance the helpful side of tech with the overload and distraction side? Like, how do we keep those things separate?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Apple Watch is such a great example of that, because if we let they can completely bombard us, because that's what all of these apps and everything are trying to do. They want to get our attention and they want to keep our attention. And so figuring out how to use it in a really smart way, that we put a lot of boundaries up. So so I have an Apple Watch, right? But in a lot of ways, I've made it kind of dumb that I don't allow it to give me a lot of notifications, right? So I think turning off notifications is huge on your phone, on your computer, on your watch. I think using those apps that are out there that help you limit time on devices, like no problem scrolling Instagram. I love scrolling Instagram, but then sometimes you can look up and be like, dear God, 90 minutes just passed.
Right.
I think also using things like, I can say Siri. I don't think she'll listen to me right now. Yeah,
right. Whenever I say that, I was like, I have to whisper it so she doesn't accidentally do something.
I know. So I use Siri a lot because I'm separate from the tech. I'm barking commands at the tech and what I want it to do, but I'm not actually picking it up. I will kind of do anything to avoid actually picking my phone up, because even if I pick it up to add bananas to the shopping list, 90 minutes later, I have still not added bananas to the shopping list and I got sucked into the vortex. So anything like Siri, things like that. So I would say that turning off your notifications, really using Siri so that you're barking commands at the tech without the tech being able to interfere with you, and then experimenting with those apps that limit your time on the device as much as possible.
That's such a good point. And what I'm hearing is basically to, as much as possible, be the initiator. Don't let your tech initiate with you by giving you notifications and like telling you that it's time to look at the tech. When we're barking commands at Siri or whatever, we're initiating, say, okay, this is helpful for us, without creating that kind of, like you said, that hole that sucks us in. It's so hard. I open my phone all the time to do something that has nothing to do with social media. Like maybe I want to, I'm pretty nerdy about stopping where I'm reading on Goodreads. Like I like to say, okay, I'm on page 169 now or whatever of the book that I'm reading. And all the time when I'm done reading a chapter, I'll open the book or open my phone with the intent to go mark my page on Goodreads. Yeah. And next thing I know, I'm on Instagram. I'm like, that's not where I meant to go. It's like, I know. Have you seen that? There's a reel. It's very funny. I think it's been recreated multiple times, of someone who's like passed out and needs an ambulance, and someone like goes to call 911, but they accidentally get on their phone and then they're like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be calling 911. Like that happens though, you know?
For sure. It totally happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you then, there's this idea of being the initiator, or not letting our tech get into our hands too often. But how do we also use tech in a way that aligns with our personal values and priorities? I think this kind of gets into the first steps of knowing which tech to start to use it as an assistant. Yeah. But how do we start with making sure that we're using it toward benefiting our personal values and priorities?
Yeah, this is something that I've just recently started experimenting with, using my calendar for that. And I'm coming up with really, really good results, which is basically, have you heard that big rocks first concept? Have you ever heard that before? I think it's
with the jar.
Exactly. So I think it's Stephen Covey, maybe, but it's basically the idea that, if you have a jar and you pour in a whole bunch of sand and then a whole bunch of pebbles, and then you try to get big rocks in, there's no room for those things, right? But big rocks, if we think about those as your priorities, we put in the big rocks first, and then the pebbles and the sand work their way around that, right? So I've started to use my calendar. We don't have to use all these fancy apps. I'm just using my Google Calendar, and I have recurring blocks every day where it's like morning routine. And then I even have like very specific, because I have ADHD, so I need like, tell me what to do, like put a load of laundry in as part of my morning routine. And then as part of my lunch routine is change the laundry to the dryer. And then I have, I try to post frequently on Instagram. So I have a block that's post on Instagram. I have a block that's walk the dog. So those are my big rocks. And then I actually use a tool called Motion that then puts in all of the pebbles and the sand that can fit around that. So that's been something that has been really helpful for me, is using the calendar. And then another thing with people that are like solopreneurs or who work with clients, I really love helping them create like a scheduling system so that they can put really, really clear boundaries around when clients can schedule with them and things like that, because I think that just helps put really healthy boundaries as well.
Oh, totally. Calendly saves my life. Anyone out there who initiates meetings with other people, that's how I schedule podcasts, as you know, because you selected for my Calendly. And it's nice to just put out there, here are the times that work for me, and find one that works for you. Like that, it really does feel like an assistant. I want to hear more about motion. So what are those little pebbles that go in between the big things you want to get done for the day? And how does motion help you?
So yeah, it's very, and it's funny. It's one of those tools that I had seen a million times, but had just never engaged with. And it was a client of mine that actually told me about it. And it's basically like a smart assistant because it uses AI where, so today I had 3 different meetings and then I needed to do, 3 tasks, and they were high priority and they were probably going to take me about 30 minutes. And so it will reconfigure my to-do list based on, okay, this is how it's all going to fit together today. And because I am the captain of like, having to-do lists that don't math, like the math is not mathing on this to-do list. Like it's not mathematically possible for you to complete all of these things. And the nice thing about that too, which is different than other to-do apps, if you log into a to-do app and you're just going to be confronted with like 30 overdue tasks, Motion is going to keep reprioritizing, re-scrambling. You can tell it whether or not something has a hard deadline. It's really cool.
What? Okay, so it's basically time blocking for you?
It's time blocking for you, but like, so for today, for example, I probably have a couple, I've got my big rocks, which are on my calendar. So Motion is working around those big rocks, which are my morning routine, walking the dog, doing Instagram, my workout. So those are my big rocks. And then my pebbles, like my bigger things are, I need to finish slides for an upcoming workshop, or I needed to prepare for this podcast interview. And that had a hard deadline because that's happening today. And then there's a couple other little pieces of sand, like, I really need to pay the electric bill or whatever it is, right? And this one's 15 minutes, this one's an hour. So based on what I've told it, when all of that is due and how long all of those will take, it's just going to like fill in around everything else.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. Is it free or does it cost money, Motion?
It costs money. And I think with a referral link that I can provide to your listeners, I think they can get a full month's trial. And then I want to say I pay something like $19 a month, but I can confirm that and we can, add that to the show notes or whatever.
That's so cool. And for everyone to know, we did not talk about any sort of like referrals or apps before we started, but I figured things like this would come up because I think we all need these specific names. A lot of times I hear, you can find an app that does this or that. I'm like, what is it called? Where do I find it?
Exactly.
I don't know any of these things. So that app sounds absolutely incredible. Yeah. Okay, so this actually is a perfect segue into what I was curious about next, though, is what are some things on our phones or even our computers, anything that is already available to us that you find most people really are underutilizing?
Right. So my number one thing, I like stop people on the streets to talk to them about this, is the grocery list function in Apple reminders. So do you know about this?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, you have Apple reminders list, but they have a specific grocery sort of option that you can create. And it's amazing because you can bark commands at it through Siri. You can say, hey, Siri, add bananas to the shopping list. And not only will it add it to the shopping list, it will auto categorize it under produce or freezer section or whatever. Exactly. It auto categorizes it. And you share this with your loved ones, whoever goes to the grocery store with you. So like I always tell the cupcake liners story. Like I was making cupcakes with my daughter. I noticed we were out of cupcake liners. And so I pressed the button on my Apple Watch and I said, add cupcake liners to the shopping list. Never thought about it again. And then like a week later, my husband comes home with cupcake liners. And I'm like, wow. Like I took 5 seconds.
Do Everyone's going to hear Siri. You're going to have so many bananas at your house.
I know. It's funny because I actually did. We have too many bananas right now. Because
Stop. That's amazing.
But so it's like little things like that. It's like taking away the mental load of like in that moment. So like, because my husband could have asked me 3 days later, what do we need from the grocery store? I would have had to stop what I was doing, think about things, make a list. Definitely wouldn't have remembered that we needed cupcake liners. But like the magic happened because I just barked that little command at my assistant and it auto categorized it. And I can even see, it was so funny. We were sitting watching TV the other day and his phone was dinging and going off like crazy. And I'm updating the grocery list. And I'm like, honey, who is texting you? He's like, it's you. Every time you add something to the grocery list, it's dinging on my phone.
That's amazing.
So that's one. I could talk about that one all day.
Well, my parents use that one. And so I'm still stuck in, 1995 where we have a whiteboard on our fridge and so we write things down. But oftentimes I think about it when I'm not necessarily near the fridge, and so I do see the value in that. You are overestimating my technology awareness, and I need to know where on my phone I go to make an Apple list or a grocery list.
Okay, so we're going to walk everybody through it right now. So, okay, you're going to go to Reminders. Do you have the Reminders app on your phone?
Is it one that comes with it, or do I have to have downloaded it?
It's one that comes with it, and if you can't find it, you can
search
press and you can search. Exactly.
Okay, I just searched and found Reminders. Okay,
great. So you're going to click on that, and then you are going to, in the bottom right-hand corner, you're going to click Add List. Do you see that?
No.
Oh, you might need to go like back or...
Let me go back. I'm on Settings. Hold on. Let me get down, see if I can find Reminders. Oh, I see it now. All right. If this gets too long, people, don't worry. I'll edit out all the time it takes me to find things.
This is the fun stuff. I'm changing lives here, people.
I've made it. We've made it here, everybody, to the Reminders app. Now, what do I do?
Okay. So do you see in the bottom right-hand corner, Add List?
Yes.
Okay. So click that.
Okay.
And then let's just call it Shopping.
Okay.
And this is the most important part where it says List Type instead of Standard. You want to click on that and you want to choose Groceries.
Okay, where do I see list type?
So under where you named it, do you see something that says list type?
Technology hates me.
Well, I wonder, have you updated your...
So maybe it's just not updated. Okay, so we can't do a walkthrough because I am, in fact, a grandmother. No offense to grandmothers. Shout out to grandmas living in the moment, but I guess that's me. So we'll walk through if you have it updated. So your Reminders, you go, you put in your list, you choose grocery.
Exactly. And then from there, you'll see, like you could practice putting in bananas, bread, whatever, frozen pizza, and you'll see that it will auto categorize it for you. And then in the upper right-hand corner, there's that little share arrow and you can click share and then you can share it with a teenager. You can share it with a spouse and then it'll automatically be a shared list.
That's so great. You mean I don't have to text my husband and be like, can you take a picture of the fridge for me?
Exactly.
And that is common.
That's another thing too. Like we have a daughter who's very picky about what she eats. And so when I say I need X product, I need that exact product. So I'll even put a picture of it in the shopping list.
Ooh, that's important too. My husband does fancy coffee and I don't drink coffee. I get chai tea lattes and that's about it. And so he has asked for these fancy filters before for his coffee machine and I've come home with the wrong one and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like that you need your fancy thing. Like I needed a picture, So, okay. So that's a huge underutilized tool people already have in their phones. That's perfect. There really are so many different apps out there though. How do you decide what is worth using and what is just noise?
Yeah. So highly recommend apps that have a trial period and putting on your calendar when that trial period is going to be over so that you remember to cancel it if you don't love it. I also really recommend, like when you look in the App Store and you see the reviews, you can actually toggle to say, show me the most recent reviews. Because that way, because a lot of times what they're going to do, they're going to pin to the top the best review that they got from 6 years ago. But I want to know, are people still loving it? Is it still useful? And then I also pay attention in the App Store. When was the last time they did an update of it? Because if they did an update like a week ago that said like bug fixes and all that kind of stuff, it shows that it is a developer that's like in there and taking it seriously. And I also really pay attention to like whether or not it sparks joy. Like, for example, there's a lot of habit trackers that are out there, and some of them are probably very effective, but I think they're kind of ugly. So I like the ones that like, I really like the design and I want to be in there and I want to be using it. So I really just try to think about what are the apps that are going to remove friction in my life. So for example, on my Apple Watch, I have a steps app because that is the only way I can actually see the number of steps I've done every day. If I didn't have that app, I would have to click on the rings and then scroll down. And that's like 4 more steps than I have time for. Whereas with using the steps app, I can see it at a glance on my watch, which I really like.
Yeah, I love that advice because I think there is something about opening an app that brings you joy. I've already mentioned Goodreads for me is one of those. Not only does it help me not have a huge physical TBR pile next to my bed, but anytime somebody, even in Instagram, I share reviews of books on my stories whenever I finish one and I have them in highlights. Just FYI, anyone out there,
I need to go check that out.
Yeah, if you're ever looking for your next read, go to my highlights. I have a nonfiction highlight and a fiction highlight with my reviews. And anyways, I get a lot of DMs being like, oh, have you read this? Have you checked out this author? Blah, blah, blah. And I can just open up Goodreads and I just put in that author's name and I quickly choose a book to add to my TBR list on Goodreads so that the next time I'm at the library or I want to put something on hold or whatever I'm putting on hold, it's going to take forever. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's anything else available at the library I can read right now. Yeah. I go into that list and I just pull something kind of random and see if it's available at my library. And it just makes the reading process fun. It makes it feel like I'm actually listening to the advice people give me. And I love opening that app because I'm just like faced with a bunch of book covers and that brings me tremendous joy.
Right. And they do all those fun challenges of how many books are you going to read. And they'll even at the end do like your year in review. So it's like that app sparks a ton of joy for you. So, that's a thing that we say in the KonMari world. And when it comes to technology, that means a lot to me too. Like I want something that looks and feels nice and is like really satisfying to use.
Totally. What are some of your favorite specific apps? You've already talked about Motion. Obviously, we've talked about Goodreads. That just make life way easier. Even if they're not pretty, I don't care necessarily at that junction, but like we're talking practical, this will make your life feel a lot more smooth.
Yeah. One of the things that's like, you don't know what you don't know is Chrome bookmarks. Are you good at like having bookmarks? No, she's shaking her hand. No. I had a call this morning with a client that like she almost burst into tears because she was like, I didn't know about this. This is amazing. And it's just essentially having your most frequently accessed things like at your fingertips at the bookmarks bar of Chrome. Like I'm looking at mine right now. Like, so I have a club called the Get It Done Club. So I have a folder called the Get It Done Club and everything that I need for that is under that. Or I just hosted a live workshop in April. Every single thing that I needed to access for that, the sales page and the coupon page and the like it's all together in that one place. And the thing is that these travel with you. So you could literally log into your Google at a library and see all of your bookmarks. You have them on your phone. So say you're doing like a kitchen renovation and you're like, oh my gosh, shoot, I had an inspiration that I forgot and you're meeting with your contractor. It's on your phone and you can show them that there. So Chrome bookmarks is a big one.
Okay. So this reminds me of when I found out on the previous episode about tech that I never knew you could label your emails to like, if you have a trip coming up, you just label it and be like, this is, the retreat trip. And so you have your flights, you have your correspondence with the people you're going with, whatever. And it sounds like it's the same thing, except for like tabs on the internet. And that's just life-changing.
Well, even to take it a step further. And if you hear something snoring, that's my dog snoring.
You haven't just fallen asleep while speaking. Okay.
So to take that even a step further, there's another cool app called the TripIt app.
Hey guys, it's time for your ad break. Each week I like to say a huge thank you for your graciousness that these are part of the podcast. Here we go.
There's another cool app called the TripIt app, where when you receive a flight confirmation or a hotel confirmation, you just forward it to like plans@tripit.com or whatever the email address is. And it creates like an itinerary for you based on these confirmations. So that is another really great app, especially for people that have a lot of business travel or travel a lot with your kids. It'll just be like, day one, here's your rental car and the confirmation, and here's where you pick it up, and then here's your flight, and that's pretty amazing.
Okay, wait. So when this comes out, I will already be living in Alaska, but we're not trying to pull one over on anyone. This is being recorded ahead of time because goodness knows I'm not going to be able to record the second we arrive in Alaska. So we're back here in the month of, what month is it? We're back in April. I think this a couple months ago, folks. And so we're preparing for this 3-week road trip.
Yeah.
So, and we were staying at a different hotel or campground every single night for 3 weeks. So what you're telling me is that all the confirmation emails I get from those different campgrounds or hotels, I can forward to this app and it will lay it out for me what my trip's going to look like?
Yes. That's what I'm telling you.
How do you spell it?
TripIt.
TRIPIT.
Yeah. You said spell it and I said it. TRIPIT. Yeah. And it does have a free, and then it has a premium, which I've upgraded to because I can't remember what bells and whistles you get with that. But oh my God. And every once in a while it'll be like, we didn't understand your confirmation. And then you might have to go back in and manually add one, so with 30 different campgrounds in 3 weeks, it might, be a little bit not as seamless as like a flight and a car rental. However, I think it would drastically, and then you could even add into that like attractions that you want to see along the way and little things like that. Yeah.
Well, because when we moved from Alaska to Florida, I had my binder on the road. So I still plan on having my binder, and it was all like mapped out because I didn't want to have to wake up in the morning and be like Googling, maybe have service, maybe not, where our next destination is and wonder how long it's going to take to get there. And so I love having as much information on the road as possible. I would open up my binder and see, I knew exactly what address to put in. I had the phone number to call if we were, didn't know something that we need to know about where we're going. And it would tell me exactly how many hours we were driving that day.
Yes.
And so I clearly would benefit from TripIt. That sounds amazing. Okay. Yeah. I want to ask you about password managers because as the meme says, I have no passwords left in me. They're gone. Please don't ask me for another one. And they all have different requirements for how many numbers and letters, and you can't have numbers in a row and you can't have this many. I'm like, I'm done. I can't think of another word on the face of the planet in the English language to use as a password. So what are some password manager tools that I could use?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is such a common one. I love the meme where the guy's like, it's like the scam artist. It's like, ma'am, we have all your passwords. And he's like, great. What are they?
Yes. I love that one too. It's so real.
It's so real. So my favorite is 1Password. So it's the number 1 and then password. And, it's the one that the New York Times, recommends. I've been using it probably for over 10 years and it is awesome. Now it does have a learning curve and a lot of people don't make it through the suck. Like they're just like, this sucks. This is hard. I can't do this. I'm just going to go back to the way that I was doing it before. So there is a little bit of a learning curve. And I think the learning curve is, training it and getting all your passwords all set up. And then it's also like all of these tech tools, they don't play nice with each other in the playground because they all like Google Chrome is like, I know your password. I know your password. And Apple Keychain is like, no, I know your password. And so they're all fighting with each other. So you have to learn how to turn that stuff off. But once you get it humming, completely life-changing. You have these difficult passwords that are really, really hard to hack that you don't have to remember because it's just going to autofill it for you. I always say like, I want you to be able to like throw your laptop in the river and everything that you need is somewhere else and in the cloud. And that's the really nice thing about like a tool like 1Password.
I personally, at this moment, would have a heart attack if my laptop was thrown in the river. So I have some work to do. So you're telling me, though, that 1Password, it's called 1Password?
Yes. So the
right?
number
all
one.
All of these will be in the show notes, just so everyone knows. Every single one. The beauty of me editing my own podcast is I can go back as I listen and add to the show notes as I go. But it will autofill because I'm thinking that autofill is what saves my life.
Yes.
So if I have to tell Apple Keychain or Google Chrome no more autofill, I feel like I will drown. So, but you can replace that autofill?
Exactly. So then you're going to be telling it use 1Password for all the autofill. So you can put in all your credit card information. You can put in your identity with your name and address and birthday. So it will autofill that. So basically you're just then telling Apple and Chrome, stop suggesting 1Password has got it and 1Password will do all the autofill.
I was going to ask if that would affect like your credit card numbers or like the auto, put in your address and stuff. So that's all then done through 1Password.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the trickiest part about it is just you basically have to delete all of your passwords off of Google and delete all of them off of Keychain. Otherwise, or Apple, they're going to keep on arguing with you. So that's the piece where people get tripped up a lot. But it's easy to do.
Invest that step in order. But then does it have the benefit, I would imagine, is that like if you need to go get your password, someone asks for it, or you need to reset something, are they all saved in there? Because that's the problem with the keychain or the Chrome reminder one, is that when it's changed, you're like, I don't remember what it was or what it, if someone asks for it, it's not there. So in 1Password, is that what the big benefit is too, is that you can go and actually see what all these different passwords are in one place?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I need. Okay, that's really exciting. Automations, I want to talk a little bit about those. So, because those to me are prime, you're being an assistant. Thank you so much, technology, right? So calendar reminders, recurring tasks, like scheduled messages, which are your favorite to use, like the automations that you think are most life-changing?
So we've talked about a lot of them. I would say, the recurring calendar blocks, the talking to Siri all day. The nice thing about like Siri, you can tell it to remind me that at 5:00 to call mom. Right.
Yes, I do that all the time.
Exactly. So that you're not having to remember to do those things. I definitely think automation when it comes to small business owners, there's a bazillion things that you could automate when it comes to small business owners, like how you onboard clients and how people schedule with you. And like just like you and I scheduling this podcast conversation, like it was seamless because you had a tool that was basically prepping me and onboarding me to do this. Right. One of the other things that I really like is, what I use for my email is Superhuman. So it's Gmail, but it's fed into Superhuman. And they just got this AI thing now where they will not only remind you about an email that hasn't been responded to, but they will draft a message for you. So like today I sat down, I had asked to cancel a subscription 3 days ago. I hadn't heard back from them. I sat down today. It was at the top of my list. And it was like, here, we've drafted a follow-up email for you to write back. And I just clicked send because the email was perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
what a world we live in.
I know. So it's less automation, probably that, but just more like it's something that's running in the background that's doing the thinking for you versus you doing the thinking.
Yes, like taking away the mental load. That's what an assistant should be doing.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because obviously there have been things that you've told me about, like the grocery list, that I'm sure plenty of people listening are like, yeah, Shannon, duh. But it's interesting, all of us are missing something. I was doing a Marco Polo with one of my best friends from college, and in the middle of talking to her, all of a sudden I said, Alexa, remind me to take the chicken out of the freezer at 4 p.m. Because I was like, I just needed to say that because it crossed my mind. And she Marco Polo'd me back and was like, I never knew you could specify what you wanted an alarm on Alexa to be. She's like, that just changed my life. So when you're cooking, my husband does this all the time. He needs, he's the cook in the house. He needs a bunch of different alarms. He needs to know when to take out the noodles. He needs to know when to put in this into the fridge, when to do this or whatever. And when you can label them, it's not like an alarm's going off and you're like, which one was that for? Right? It's like set an alarm in 10 minutes to take the noodles out, set an alarm in 5 minutes to, switch over X, Y, or Z. And it's incredible. So like Alexa's just his little assistant in the kitchen.
Exactly.
She might as well be wearing an apron being like his sous chef telling him what comes next.
Exactly. Because he's got messy hands. And in the old days, he would have been touching all kinds of different timers and that sort of thing. So yeah, barking commands at them, huge. It's such a time saver. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it is funny though, like with barking commands at tech is such a part of our life that my poor children, I'm like, is this, stressful for them? Because they'll start telling Alexa to do things, and usually they're ridiculous. Like, Alexa, set an alarm in 5 minutes and fart 5 times or something, but like they also get frustrated when she can't hear them, because sometimes they just don't respond. I always joke, Alexa is super rude to me. I try and get her to listen, like, Alexa, power off Roku, because we can never find the remote. And so I have it on my phone, but I can just walk past, or if the kids are refusing to turn off the TV, I'm like, Alexa, power off Roku or whatever. But like a lot of times she won't listen to me. And my husband can say the same thing.
Yes.
And she listens. And not only does she listen, she'll also be like, do you need anything else, Erin? And I'm like, step away from my husband, Alexa. Like, I can't. But it's weird because our kids are growing up in this house where I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about, having an Alexa or like Big Brother's watching. I don't particularly care. I'm like, what are they going to see? Like me and my kids talking about Minecraft? Like, great. Yeah. So anyways, I do wonder what that's like for them. Like if it's stressful to be like, Alexa, can you hear me?
Yeah. I mean, they live in a totally different world than we do. Like everything is so instantaneous too. Like it's like, Isabel will order something and be like, is it here yet? Like 7 minutes later. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. But like, I didn't ever have anything delivered to my door unless it was like a care package from my grandmother,
Oh my gosh, totally. My kids are not allowed to watch YouTube unless I am in the room watching with them. And so they wouldn't have the remote or anything. If YouTube is on, I take the remote away, like, cause I am in charge of making sure that it's good to go. But they will, the second that the little advertisement circle is closed and it says you can skip the ad. If I am not staring at the screen, they're like, skip, mom, skip the ad, skip. And I'm like, whoa, like, listen, take a bathroom break. That's what we did during commercial breaks in my day. Like I feel like the old woman.
Isabel was asking me the other day because she watches some old shows, like she was watching Full House or something. And she was like, Mom, why are Full House episodes 22 minutes long? And I was like, because it was a 30-minute time slot. And that was how many commercials. She was like, what?
Yes. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. All right. So we've talked about a lot of the specific things already that I wanted to ask you about, but not all of them. And so I want to walk through how to use tech to streamline some specific struggles that I kind of thought of that, as most of us listening are like, oh, I could use some help like that. Let's start with busy schedules, family keeping track of everything. JoJo has ballet on Mondays and Lego Club is the first Tuesday of every month. And they need to wear some crazy hat to school on April 14th. And then we have a military lunch, for military spouses at 11:30. Like there's just so much that both my husband and I need to be aware of. Yeah. How do we keep track of everything?
Yeah. So I usually recommend that you each maintain your separate calendars, but you invite each other to the things that are important. Some people try to do like a shared family calendar, and it just seems like those tend to get kind of messy. So if there's an important event coming up that you or he had that you need each other to know about, you just invite each other and then you just pack the description and the location and everything full of all of those details. So if it's like, the location is the exact location of the doctor's office. The description is going to be like suite 250, turn left at the blah, blah, like whatever to make it super. Don't forget your referral paper. You have to start fasting at 8 a.m. that morning, like all of those details, making sure that they're in there. And then I always just make sure that you can color code your calendar. So like I can look at my work calendar and my personal calendar in one place and I can see the difference between the two of those. So that's usually what I recommend in terms of those things.
Right. So if my husband had his Google Calendar on his phone, anything in orange would be a work obligation. Anything in pink would be a family obligation.
Yeah.
And then with that sharing, I love that idea of maintaining your own calendars. You can attach a photo, right? Because the way I'm doing it right now, I feel like I could be more efficient. I take a photo of whatever flyer it is, for the kids that comes home from school. I take a photo of it and we have a shared iPhone album, which is called Information to Revisit or something like that, where I can put something on the calendar and then I just write see album. And so he goes and finds the flyer for that. But I can actually probably just attach it right there, right?
I think so. I know there's a really easy way to do that in the Google Calendar, and I'm trying to think from Apple Calendar if you can attach a photo.
I use Google Calendar, but I guess we should care about people who use Apple Calendar too.
Yeah, I use both because the nice thing about if you saved that image in Google Drive, then you can easily pull it from Google Drive into the Google Calendar. So that
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably what I would recommend for you.
Cool. Okay. So love that idea. That's so simple. All of us know how, I think all of us, I shouldn't say that. Most of us know how to share, invite somebody to an event. I think that's a really great way of doing it. Meal planning is another big one. We talked a little bit about grocery shopping, but are there any other ways to use tech to streamline meal planning as a whole?
This is an area that I'm terrible at.
Just use
So,
HelloFresh like I do, then you don't have to think about it.
well, yeah, like my husband does most of the cooking, so that's why the grocery list is really important. Like he'll be the inventive one in like coming up with what we're going to eat, but I'm the one that remembers that we need like bananas for smoothies and what my daughter needs and that kind of stuff. I think there's probably a bazillion apps out there that would probably make my life a lot easier if I tried to use them, but I think meal planning I just waved the white flag a long time ago. So do you just do HelloFresh? That's what you do?
Yeah, well, and my husband's a cook too, so that's my meal plan is whatever he's making. If for the days that we don't have HelloFresh, I love HelloFresh though because it just shows up on your porch and you're like, oh, this is great, and there's usually enough for our family to have a little leftovers, and I
Yeah.
love it. But I was thinking too that I have heard that there are apps. Or you could even use ChatGPT to put in whatever ingredients you have in your fridge and say,
Yes.
what can I make with this? And it creates something, which I think is like the most brilliant idea in the whole world.
Yes, yes, I totally agree. I think ChatGPT can be so helpful for that. And the other thing that you can do, and you can use your calendar for this, like one of the things I always forget, we have a fresh market near us, and they have like Sunday night is rotisserie chicken night, where it's $15.99 for a rotisserie chicken, two sides, and corn muffins. Thursday night is $5 sushi night, right? So like I feel like I could probably do a better job of putting those as recurring events on my calendar because I always forget that Sunday is rotisserie chicken. And like once you have a rotisserie chicken, then Monday becomes like chicken salad night, like that sort of thing.
Yes.
So I think what you're doing with HelloFresh, you're just putting something on autopilot, you've automated it. That's brilliant. So
Yeah.
anytime that you can just automate something, and that becomes kind of the big rocks, and then all the little rocks and pebbles you're filling in around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Love that. Room for growth for both of us. Also, big shout out to both of our husbands for being the cooks of the house. I
Yes.
mean, aren't we the luckiest? It's so great. Okay. The third one is maintaining habits. So, this is you want to work out, or for me, reading with Goodreads, even calling your friends, anything that you want to be consistent at doing. What are some tech? Apps, whatever that we can use.
Yeah, so I love WhatsApp. It sounds like you use Marco Polo and so you can do like the video messaging back and forth. I love WhatsApp for voice memos. So my best friend lives in Spain, so we have a 6 hour time difference. And it's basically like when she's walking to work and when I'm driving somewhere is when we exchange our voice memos.
Yes.
And I just love WhatsApp for voice memos because you can just go into so much more depth versus texting somebody like, how was your week? It's like, fine. How was yours?
Right.
Versus like she knows when I get like a new shower curtain and we need to like discuss it in depth, my shower curtain. So I think it just allows you to have much more depth. When it comes to working out, I definitely love using things that make so for example, I use an app called Bar Definition with Action Jacqueline. So it's a bar program that I love. And her app is right on my Apple TV. So I can just go right downstairs, click on that app and do my workout, or I can do it on my phone and basically stream it to any TV. And it's a really beautiful, calming, soothing app. It has like a little timer in the corner so I can see how much is left of my workout. So again, that's getting into that like spark joy category of like you're more likely to do something if it's really enjoyable. I also Audible for when you're driving in the car. And Audible even has like a car play function where you can make the book a lot bigger on your phone so that if you want to fast forward or if you want to clip a section, it's a lot easier to do that while you're driving. Like it's a lot less distracting.
Yes, Libby is so good for that too. Audible and Libby.
Yes.
I'm a big Libby gal just because I'm a cheapo. I don't like to pay for books when I'm like, I can get them for free.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I think both of those are huge. Curious because the only apps I allow to give me notifications are anything that I want to be a habit. So like I will let Marco Polo remind me that I haven't responded to someone in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Or a workout app be like, hey, you haven't done your workout today. I know people have mixed feelings if that's stressful or not, but to me, if it's something I want to be doing,
yeah,
I think that's really helpful. It is. It's like having a little assistant be like, hey, don't forget that you haven't done this and you want to.
Exactly. And some of the apps will let you even customize what that reminder says. So instead of it being something generic, it can be a message that you want to say to yourself that would actually be more motivational.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to see if any of mine do that.
Yeah.
Okay, the last big one that I know a lot of people struggle with is decluttering phones or photos, excuse me, on our phones because we take a million.
hmm
What is a little assistant tool that can help us do that?
So my favorite app for decluttering photos, and this works specifically on iPhones, is called My Cleaner Kit. It's so good. Basically, it will go in there and it will eliminate blurry photos, screenshots, even similar photos. So it's like, Easter just happened, right? Like, here's 6,000 photos of my kid in an Easter basket. It'll be like, we think this one is the best. Can we delete the rest of them? And it'll even let you go through kind of month by month. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I have 18,000 photos, you can be like, okay, let me look at March 2025. I have 400 photos. That is much more reasonable. And it even has like a Tinder feel to it. I've never been on Tinder because I've been married almost 20 years, but it's like swipe left to keep it, swipe right to delete, that
Really? That's
yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's very like, if you're at a doctor's office or if you're like watching some mindless TV, it's like really easy to just kind of swipe and go through that stuff.
Because truly the control freak in me is like, but don't delete the similar ones. I want to decide which similar one is the best. And so this sounds like it offers that option for people like me who are very specific about which identical photo they want to keep.
Exactly. It'll say like, okay, here's, 4 pictures of your kid with an Easter basket. We think this one's the best, but you could say, no, actually keep this one instead. So you have some control.
Oh, that is so, so great. Okay, let's see. As usual, per usual, my listeners know this. I always have too many questions, which I guess is better than not having enough questions. But let me see. I'm going to end with asking, what is a recent tech tip or trick that you learned that totally surprised you, even as a tech coach?
Okay, so that thing that you can do where you put iPhones together and they'll like talk to each other?
Yes.
I don't really know how to do that, and it's really frustrating me. Like I was at an event the other day and we went to share photos and the mom was like, oh, we don't even have to do AirDrop. Like we can make our our phones touch. And it was crazy. Like our phones touched and this like my phone started vibrating and like this rainbow thing happened on my phone because they were talking to each other. So that's kind of like that's something I need to understand a lot more, that I don't really know how it works.
Yeah.
And I really want to figure it out.
Well,
it's
me
really
too
cool.
now, because I'm like, what if it accidentally takes some really, inappropriate photos off your phone? Not saying that my phone has inappropriate photos for the record, but like, there's some things you don't want to share.
Right. So there's some way that you can pick, like, here's these 10 photos, and then we can touch our phones together and they will be like transmitted.
Interesting. Isn't it always like a sinking pit feeling, at least it is to me, when someone's like, oh, we could just do this with your phone. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'm 1,000 years old. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. And then they look at you like, this is so obvious. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, especially if you're like a tech and productivity coach. They're like, hello.
Yeah, I imagine the pressure is even higher.
Oh, for sure.
That's so funny. Okay, well, at the end of every podcast, I ask my guests 2 questions. And so I want to ask you, what is something you are currently paring down?
Oh my gosh, everything. I just like want to pull a dumpster up and just like, I yesterday I spent a ton of time in my office and I just got rid of, just the paper clips and rubber bands. I have enough rubber bands to last humanity. It's so that kind of stuff, just like stupid stuff that is taking up so much space that I'm never ever going to use. So
just like extra junk drawer items is,
Yes.
Those things we always feel like, oh, I'll use a paperclip. I'm like, Shannon, I have used a paperclip maybe one time in the last year. Why do I need 500 of them? It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
It's just weird. They feel illegal to declutter. Okay, and what is something that you are currently looking forward to?
Spring. It's so beautiful right here, right now. And I've got the windows open and the beautiful flowers. And I sit outside and read. And sometimes I work outside and I fall asleep in the hammock. I'm such a spring gal.
Oh, I love it. When this comes out, it will be fall. It'll be turning into fall. So that will be a nice reminder of springtime. All the seasons are beautiful. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Amanda, thank you so much. This has been so enlightening. I'm sure everyone hopefully had like a pen and paper. Actually, no, that's opposite of what we talked about. Maybe taking notes in their phone, to
I'm a pen and paper gal too.
Yeah, you can use both. That's for sure. But where can everyone find you to follow along, learn more about your hacks and suggestions?
Yes. So they can find me on Instagram at hey.amandaj, and they can find me on my website at indigoorganizing.com. That's where they can find all my online courses and how to work with me one-on-one and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. This has been highly enlightening for me, and I'm excited to go set up my grocery list because that needs to happen. All right. Well, you have a good afternoon, and thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
You just listened to an episode of Paring Down with me, Shannon Leyko. If you enjoyed the show, it would mean the world if you can leave a review wherever you listen and share this episode with a friend. Those reviews really are what keeps a podcast on its feet for the long haul, and I will read every single one with a huge smile on my face. So thank you ahead of time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, be sure to follow along on Instagram at paring_down, where I offer lots of tips and inspiration for paring down, along with what's new here on the podcast. Till next time.